Welcome to the Women in Wealth podcast, brought to you by Regina McCann-Hess, a certified financial planner with over 2 decades of experience. This show is for professional women who want guidance in working towards their retirement vision in learning, building, planning, striving for your dreams, and putting the work in now so that you can pursue your financial independence. Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, I have a new friend with me. And Kristen, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Hi, thanks for having me here today. So my name is Kristen Shearin. I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am a family law attorney. I've been practicing for about 17 years. I'm a family law litigator, and about 7 or 8 years ago, I became a certified divorce financial analyst, and about 5 years ago, I became a mediator. So I've gradually along my career path realized the value in settlement and amicable divorces, and I have slowly adopted more and more of those resolution type systems and behaviors in my practice, as I've learned that court is not anywhere that anyone needs to be. I think that if you spend a number of years litigating, you realize that the outcomes just don't always make sense, and they don't always, they're generally not worth the time and money that you
Yeah,
put into it when there are other ways to achieve a resolution. So that's
yeah,
kind of
for
been
sure.
where I've sort of gone in my life. And earlier this year, I took a position as the subject matter expert for the IDFA, which is the Institute of Divorce Financial Analyst. And I started helping them out with their content and their educational materials and going to conferences where I met people like you. Um, and it's been really, really fun to get out of my practice area, my little town, and get to meet new people and see how people are doing things across the country, see the new technologies that people are using, the new methodology that people are using. And so I wish that I had started going to conferences earlier in my career rather than just being stuck in my little bubble of this is how we do it here. So I think that's been
Mhm.
my most favorite part of my job.
Yeah. There's so much to unravel here. All right. Well, first of all, January is divorce month. So let's talk about that. Well, I know in my own practice, we always recommend if people can do kitchen table conversations, mediation, anything they can do to stay out of court. Because you go into court, first of all, totally different, vibe. Second of all, you have total strangers making decisions about you and your family that are going to have long lasting impacts.
Mhm.
So I think it's great, mediation, the amicable divorce, things that we can do, collaborative, anything that we can do to keep people just having a conversation and not running into a courtroom and expecting miracles,
Mhm.
so to speak. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so it's interesting that January is divorce month. And I think the reason why January is divorce month is because people just don't want to get divorced through the holidays. They
Right.
don't want those family disruptions for Thanksgiving and Christmas, or, oh, we'll just spend one more Christmas as a family. And then come January, people litigate and they file for
Yeah.
divorce. So if you're willing to kind of wait to hold off the divorce, to have that one last family experience or that one last calm holiday season, then I agree. I think that you should be willing to engage in those resolution discussions in January rather than litigation. But it's really interesting. I think the amount of filings that we get, I think one, people wait to do their taxes. They wait till the W-2s come in.
Mm-hmm.
The absolute best, most busiest day in my practice every single year has been the day after Super Bowl, which I do not understand.
Oh,
But
I
the
know. I know
day
why.
after Super Bowl, the phone rings off the hook.
Day after Super Bowl. Super Bowl is the biggest time that women get battered in their relationships.
Is it really? I had
Yeah.
no idea. I've never
Yeah.
heard that.
Because their spouses, Their team lost. They bet on the game. There's a lot of alcohol involved. It's the biggest day. I think it's almost the biggest day of the year that women are unsafe in their own home.
Wow, I had no idea.
Mhm.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Um, well, and domestic violence is a situation where you do need the courts and you do need to involve the courts.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And not, yeah, that's a great point because not every case can go through an amicable process, a mediation or a collaborative. I mean, there's just certain personalities, it's not going to work.
Mhm.
And, and especially if you need protective orders and things like that, your safety and your children's safety is the utmost important thing.
Yeah. And that's where our court system really can help you. And that's where you should be taking advantage of the court system and seeking outside resources of others. Because if you don't, you're most likely going to be manipulated might be the right word, coerced, into a settlement that's unfair to you.
True, true, true. Now, the Institute of Divorce Financial Analysts, of which I am a certified divorce financial analyst as well, through that organization, they do a lot behind the scenes to help professionals like ourselves provide people services during the divorce. So, tell us a little bit more about the organization and what you're doing in your newest role with the IDFA.
Thanks. Yeah, so Certified Divorce Financial Analyst or the Institute of Divorce Financial Analyst, what we do is we teach professionals, either professionals in the financial industry, the tax industry, or the legal industry. We teach them about the financial nuances of divorce. And, it's funny, everyone that's not in this industry just says, well, just divide it. Why is it so hard? And I think as soon as you do step into the space, you realize just how incredibly complex it is. And there so much needs to go into these conversations about how to value assets, how to divide assets equally and fairly. I just got an email today, and I'm constantly learning new things. Even
Absolutely.
in practicing in this area my entire career, I'm still learning new things. And today I got an email that was so interesting, and it was just why all of the statements matter. And no,
Mm,
you can't skip just a few statements. And no, it's not okay to not have January and March statements. And here's why. And they went into this whole analysis, and it was thousands and thousands of dollars
yep.
that if you didn't know to look for it, you might go, oh, well, I'll just use this balance here. And so that's one of the things that I love about my job is just you continue to learn. You'll never learn it all. You'll never learn enough. Like what you just told me about the day after Super Bowl. I had no idea. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I just love. I just love meeting
Yeah.
people and meeting different people, and there's always something new and interesting to learn. So at the IDFA, I'm going to be taking over as the executive director in January. So I'm really excited. And so I'll get to be in charge of all of the educational content and all of the people, such as yourself, that we're going to have come and speak to our members. And when we're teaching people how to become educated in divorce finances, the idea behind that is really so that they will go out in the community and educate the public, and that these are all the things that you need to think about when you're getting divorced. And I always laugh that people will spend time, picking out a stock or picking out a mutual fund, but they don't pay enough attention to the one thing that can cause you to lose 50% of your net worth. And, so divorce financers are something that it's shocking to me that people do it without professional help. It's
Yeah.
50% of your net worth. You need
Yeah.
to enlist a professional to help you. And divorce, while it is emotional and, there are custody issues that come into play, but the majority of divorce is financial. And
Yep.
so at the IDFA, we teach professionals how to understand those nuances of divorce, so that they can help their clients.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always tell, like, I do a divorce webinar with a group of other divorce professionals. We do 1 to 2 webinars every month, and they're purely educational. Like you said, we've been doing them for 5 years. I am still learning.
Like every time we have a webinar, I'm like, oh wow, I didn't realize that. Like
Yeah.
I'm constantly learning because there's different professionals talking about their specialty and their niche. And I'm like, oh, well, that's really good to know. Why didn't I know that? But it's just so much to learn. So it's very, very true. You're always learning. And then one of the things that I talk about, because I'm the financial in the group, I'm always talking about organizing yourself, just to give yourself a little bit more control back in your life and gathering your documents. And I always tell people, because like people love giving you screenshots
Hmm.
of their account values. I'm like, no, I need the statement. The statement tells a story, especially your December statement, because I can see all year's activity. But the all these statements are really, really important. So not skipping statements, 100%, you can't skip statements. And the other thing I tell people is your tax returns are truly a treasure trove of information. I have found hundreds of thousands of dollars of assets that were just they forgot to include them in
Yeah.
in the information. It's like let's get that on the page, you know.
Yeah. Well, and I
So
mean, here's the thing about financial statements too. If you're not really familiar with them, they're not necessarily intuitive. When I
right,
first started
neither am
out,
I.
I would get a financial statement and I would think that I was expected to understand what was on that statement. But it could be a combined statement with multiple accounts. It could be the cover page of, a summary of accounts. It could be
Mm-hmm.
so many different things. And without all of the statements, you're really not understanding all of the information that's there.
Right.
What is the cost basis of those?
Mm-hmm.
There's so
Yeah.
much more there. And even for us who are trained professionals, I'll still get a statement once in a while. I mean, if we all tend to work with somewhat of the same institutions. So, if you give me a fidelity statement, I've seen that a million times. I know what that looks like. But I'll still get, pension statements from some company I've never heard of. I don't know how to read it. And
Yeah.
so if you're somebody that's not familiar with finances, um, don't take a look at that stuff and look at it on face value and expect that you understand what that data says. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you have some experience in this, you realize that you need a whole lot more before you start putting a financial picture together.
Yeah, and one of the things that I heard loud and clear at the conference we were just at together on divorce was that your divorce is the largest financial transaction that you will make in your lifetime. So
Mhm.
why wouldn't you have a professional who understands all the numbers helping you with that? It blew my mind. Like it's so like right there. And I
Mhm.
never even thought of it that way. I was just like, oh my God, that blew me away. Such
Yeah.
great morsels.
Well, and I always kind of laugh a little bit because at least where I live, I live in a banking town. And so I either get the client that will bring me a box of literally receipts and like you
Yes.
said, a couple of screenshots, or I get the client that will give me a 12-page
Mm.
Excel spreadsheet with, 42 tabs of rolling
Oh my
formulas, and
God.
they've worked it out to the penny of, every single transaction. And they're generally both wrong. You
Yeah.
know, even even sometimes the professional who is familiar with finances, when it's your own finances, you're still not always looking at it objectively. And
Mhm.
so I always think that that's really interesting when I get those clients that come in and they've done all these calculations and these formulas, but they didn't do it the way that the court did it, or they left out huge, huge pieces of information that they needed to include that they didn't know that they needed to include, or it maybe benefited them not to include it. And so
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's really interesting to me, all the different dynamics that you encounter out there. And that's where having just a second set of eyes to come in and go, well,
Yeah. Yeah.
here's maybe some gaps.
And that's a great point because I consulted with someone recently a couple weeks ago, and I could tell they were very savvy and they presented me with everything. And I was just like, I was trying to save the money. I'm like, you're going to work with a mediator. I really don't think you need me. I think you're going to be okay without me. And they were like, no. I need that second set of eyes. Like I need that unemotional attachment to this so that, you're seeing what I'm not seeing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good point. And here I am just trying to be like honest and saying there's not a lot of work for me to do. I don't want to, you're spending a fortune to get a divorce. You don't need another fee. But they had a great point. So, there we go. You have that second set of eyes and also somebody taking the emotion out of it. Although I don't know about you. It's hard not to get pulled into the emotion sometimes because, there's a ton of emotions in a divorce.
Yeah. I mean, and I even get pulled into my clients' cases, because you care. These are human
Yeah.
stories
Yeah.
and these are people and families that you're dealing with. And so it's not clinical. It's not cut and dry. And sometimes what the right answer is not always the most obvious solution.
100%. Yeah.
I just did one where, I mean, we just flipped what you would have initially thought would have been the most reasonable outcome, completely on its head because we got multiple professionals involved and we said, well, hey, what if we did this? I know this looks a little weird,
Hmm.
but if we did this, then this, and this. And,
Hmm.
it wound up making sense for everybody. And we really would never have generated that solution if we hadn't kind of all gotten together and put our heads together. And it was a
Hmm.
much better outcome for both of them. And it was, it was a little weird. It was a little
Yeah.
unusual, but it really did work. And
Hmm.
it was a combined effort to
Yeah.
to figure that one out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now, I know the IDFA website also allows people to go look for people to help them by what I think they put a zip code in or something like that. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's called the Find a CDFA feature. And now one thing that we're doing, which I'm super excited about, it comes out next month. We are
Hmm.
launching a website specifically for the public. It's going to be called cdfa.com.
Oh,
And the
cool.
public can go on there and they can get information and resources about divorce finances. And on that website, they can search for a CDFA either in their area or a CDFA that is in another area that is somebody that maybe specializes in something that they're looking for. So
Oh,
not,
that's awesome. I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So not, if you have a military divorce, you really need to talk to a military specialist. And so we're
A
going to have a
hundred
button on
percent.
there. Hey, do you need a CDFA that knows about military pensions? Click here.
Yeah.
If you don't have any, crazy, you know, complex assets. You don't need forensic tracing. You don't need, crypto tracing. We're going to have buttons for all of those things. Then just search for somebody in your area. But we are going to be available to all the CDFAs nationwide. We're opening that up. We have a CDFA who specializes in cattle, the valuation of cattle. So we have a CDFA that specializes in special needs divorce, just what special needs children's trusts. And
Hmm.
so there's this take advantage of the resources all across the country because with a certified divorce financial analyst, you don't necessarily need to hire somebody local unless you want to. But if you
Yeah.
feel comfortable with that in-person meeting, or you just want somebody in your area because that makes you feel more comfortable, in which case you can search by area, but you can also search by all these different specialties. Do you want somebody that only works with women? Do you want, whoever you're looking for, you'll be able to find it on our website. And again, I just think it's like you said, it's crazy to me that people divorce without a certified divorce financial analyst, just because it is the largest financial transaction you'll ever have. So these people are out
100%.
there to help you. Use
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's for sure. So, new year, new role. Tell us, some of the other things that are coming up this year with the IDFA.
Yeah, so we are doing a conference in Charleston in March, which I'm really excited about. And we're going to be in San Diego. We are revamping our main website, which is the IDFA website. But the CDFA website for the public should be out very soon. And so those are two really, really big changes that we're so excited about. We're going to be offering a mediation course, which I think is going to be really, really good for our CDFAs because mediation skills, whether you're going to go out there and become, a formal mediator, mediation skills are something that you can utilize in every single aspect of your life.
100%.
Yeah, whether you're working with your own clients, married clients, whether it's with your
Yeah.
own family, with your
Yeah.
coworkers, mediation training, I think, is just so important, especially in today's climate where people are just, angry and they're fighting about things and emotions and tensions can rise so easily. To have those dispute resolution skills,
Hmm.
de-escalate conflict, I think is something that I'm just really, really excited to be able to offer.
Yeah, and that is truly needed in our country right now. And I think it is a great tool for us all to have. I know I did mediation training literally right before the world shut down,
Mhm.
January of 2020. Um, and it really has helped. And could I use a refresher? Absolutely. So I might be signed up for that class.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And I love mediating. It's my favorite thing. And it's really funny because I spent my career in an advocacy role where I'm always advocating for one client. And it really wasn't until I started mediating regularly that I really did start to see both sides of the story. I mean, I could always see
Mhm.
it to an extent, but not until you're a mediator, not until you're
Right.
in here with this person talking to this, and then you're in here with this person and learning the story over here, that you really realize that very often there are two very valid points on both sides. And once you do that enough, you really do open yourself up to realize that there's two sides of the story in almost every conversation that you have. And you start to see that a little bit better.
Absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. Like I always try to remind myself because I might get caught up because I do a lot of advocate work. And I try to remind myself, like, look, it's, what I said, what she said, and what really happened is in the middle. So, like,
Mhm.
kind of like that old adage, take it with a grain of salt, because the other person's telling a completely different story, but somewhere in between, that's kind of probably, more of what happened. But it's also, what their experience of that, of that situation, and how it's impacting them. But yeah, it's, in when I'm working with a mediation case, so much nicer,
Yeah.
just so much
Yeah.
nicer than the he said, she said, or he said, whatever it is. That kind of mindset. It helps decrease the drama of
Mhm.
of the divorce because there's plenty of drama to go around. But anytime we can, mediate or those kitchen table conversations, anytime we can, and decrease the time in court, even if you can't get 100% done at the kitchen table or with the mediation, the less you take into court, the better. But like you
Well,
said, there's times when you have to go to court.
yeah. Well, and people are usually a little more likely to accept some terms that maybe they don't love as long as they feel heard.
Hmm.
And as long as they understand the whys behind it. And mediation is really the only place that we have to really get deep into those conversations to go, well, you're getting this, and this, you're giving this up, but here's why. And I hear you and I know why you feel this way, but here's why this is the best outcome. And most of the time, having that understanding, people can be really reasonable and
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
pretty generous.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So people want to learn more about you, more about the IDFA, where would they go to find more information?
So our IDFA website is the best place, and that's where you can register to become a CDFA if you're interested, or you can register for the mediation course that we're going to be offering. And so that is institutedfa.com. And you can read about my bio there and you can email me there. Or you can go to cdfa.com. And if you're a member of the public and you're looking for some more public facing information, the Institute DFA site is more for professionals. It's just going to have a little bit different kind of content on there. Maybe some stuff that's not as easy for the public to digest. So those are the
For
two
sure.
best resources. And yeah, check it out.
Awesome, awesome. All right, so a little switch in conversation, being a professional woman, It hasn't been all sunshine and roses. I mean, it's been pretty great, but there's probably been some challenges that you've faced across along the way. Tell us about one of those challenges.
So one of the things that I absolutely love here in where I practice is there are a couple of judges on the bench that there's one judge on the bench and she was the first Black attorney in North Carolina.
Wow.
And just realizing that took place in your lifetime and that you know this person. There's a county that I practice in, and for the first time we got a female judge on the bench. There's another female judge was back when you could only wear skirts
Oh
um,
God, yeah.
below the knee. There was a dress code in court, and women could not wear pants. So I think just reminding yourself pretty regularly that these things occurred in our lifetime, and
Hmm.
to not take them for granted. And you can go to work and you can have a day that's frustrating, or you can have challenges, but also to go to just realize all the people that helped get you
Hmm.
where you are, I think is really inspiring for women like yourself and myself to keep furthering that agenda, to
Hmm.
constant and working in this industry, you still realize how disproportionate the outcomes are for women. We still have more work to do, but to realize all the work that has been done and that there are all these amazing women to celebrate out there, and then it just, I feel like, is inspiring to
Yeah.
continue that path.
100% there too. Oh my gosh, this is great. All good things. Kind of like you put your hand up for that person to help you, and then you put your hand down to help the next person up.
It
That's what we got to
matters.
keep doing. Yeah,
It
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 does.
matters. And
Yeah,
it affects change.
yeah, 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 yeah.
One
All
of the
right,
things that
so
this one thing I always tell my kids, I don't like it when people, spout political things. None of us want to engage in that. And, for the most part, I don't think anyone really wants to hear anyone engage in those things. And so what I always tell my children is um, go and be a part of that change. If you're not out volunteering, doing something that is impactful to you, then you shouldn't be saying anything at all. And there is an
mm,
organization out there for you, for everyone,
hmm,
whatever that may
yes,
be. For me, it was the one example that I told you about. I really wanted a woman on the bench in that one particular county. And so I went out and I worked those polls. I signed up, I volunteered, because that was something that I wanted. And so instead of sitting back and complaining about it, you go out and you volunteer and you try to be part of that change, whatever that change may be on your local level, however you can go about it. I just think it's important for people to do whatever that is, but
yes.
go and do, sign up,
Be part of the
do it.
solution,
Mhm.
regardless of what the solution is. Be part of it.
Yeah, in your own way, there is something locally that you can do. And so
Yeah,
I wish that would sort of be like my message to, if I had one, is look, we do still need all these changes. Go, you've got
yeah.
a passion, you've got a viewpoint, go and do.
That's a great message. Really good message. All right. Well, lastly, let's get in a time machine and tell me what's your vision of retirement.
Oh, well, actually, I'm kind of almost living it a little bit because I'm relocating to the mountains soon. So I'm really, really excited about that. I'm gonna go live up there full time and give that a shot. But ultimately, I'm gonna follow my kids around wherever they go, whether they want me to or not, I'm not sure. But I'd like to be that grandma that, is there. I think as working women, we all had that struggle of, I mean, I've been to court with yogurt in my hair, crying because
Oh my
whatever.
gosh. Yeah.
And if I had, and my mother helped me as much as she could,
Hmm.
but to be that resource for my children and my daughter, my future daughters-in-law, to say, okay, you woke up, your child has a fever, they can't go to daycare. Yes, I will
Yeah.
come over.
Yep.
That's really would be the vision. I would love to be that for my
That's
kids.
beautiful.
Yeah, because I think we could have all used it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
think because I
I did
appreciate.
have something like that. So I'm very lucky.
yeah, than you are. But there's so many people that don't. And
Yeah.
again, when you get back to, um, women's initiatives, just being that tribe.
Yeah. Oh, love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I loved our conversation. We are going to continue it as we go. But thank you so much for joining me and good luck in your new role. I cannot wait to follow you and see all the amazing things you're going to do at the IDFA.
Thanks.
All right, cool. And thanks everyone else for joining us. January is divorce month. So if you know anyone or have a friend who is contemplating divorce, suggest that they educate themselves and get organized before they start calling anyone. It's a tough time, so organization's key. So again, thank you. My name is Regina McCann-Hess. I'm president of Forge Wealth Management. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, LinkedIn, Regina McCann-Hess, and my website's forgewealth.com. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Women in Wealth podcast. You can watch the founders video I created for you to learn more about me and how I can guide you towards your financial independence at www.forgewealth.com. The information in this podcast is educational and general in nature and does not take into consideration the listener's personal circumstances. Therefore, it is not intended to be a substitute for specific individualized financial, legal, or tax advice. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a final decision. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, and SIPC. Investment advice offered through Private Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. Private Advisor Group and Forge Wealth Management are separate entities from the LPL Financial. Our show guests and their companies are not affiliated with nor endorsed by LPL Financial, Private Advisor Group, or Forge Wealth Management.